Today's episode is a rare one because Thomas DeLauer, who almost never steps off his massive YouTube platform, is here for an unfiltered conversation. He's got millions of followers and a gift for translating science into real results. And he breaks down everything from fat loss and fasting, peptides, stem cells, supplements, HRT. But this goes deeper because we're going to get into the Make America Healthy Again movement, the firestorm that it's ignited, vaccine dogma, pulling soda off food stamps, and Thomas opens up about why he can't stay silent as ideology collides with physiology and public health becomes a battleground for cultural identity. This isn't just about optimizing hormones or six-pack abs. It's about reclaiming common sense in a world that's lost it. Buckle up. Keeping it real with Jillian Michaels. Well, since you are feeling nauseous, and I'm just debating, I'm probably going to leave all this in there. Here's what I love so much, though, is that I was so excited to talk to you about a couple different things because, of course, I want to touch all the fun stuff that you're known for. Like, what supplements are you loving at the moment? And what diet is like as hot as ever right now? What does the science say? And peptides and HRT and all that stuff is on the table. But you and I have these candid conversations, you know, whether it's on text or voice notes or when I get to see you in person occasionally, about how upside down the world is. So I want to get into that too. But before we do, you're about to throw up. So why don't you
tell the story of why I feel like...
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
No, it
could be funny. What?
I'm assuming this is what's going on. I won't name brands.
Don't do it.
Okay, but it's kind of ironic as the guy that was like a low carb guy for so long that like I'm trying like a cyclic dextrin. It's like a type of... It's, what is it? Rapid absorbing, but low GI, essentially. So
it basically cyclic dextrin.
It's this type of carbohydrate that essentially will absorb through your gastrointestinal tract really quick. But when it's actually in your bloodstream, it's like a low glycemic carb. So it's something.
Nice.
So it's actually
steady energy, arguably.
Yeah. So it's not like a bad
theory.
thing. It's just the idea is like it sounds creepy, first of all, but I don't usually have carbohydrates before I train, and like let alone like a mysterious carbohydrate powder. So I mean, full disclosure, it was probably a bad day for me to do that, but like, so.
But this is quintessentially you, though.
Yeah. So I'm
you do all the research, and then you try everything, and here we are. You know, this is quintessential Thomas DeLauer.
They're going to see real Thomas, raw, pale, and
oh my gosh, the behind the scenes. Well, I wanted to start out with some of the fun stuff that people expect from, you know, both of us having a conversation. And all this stuff I love to watch you for is to learn about, you know, you do all the homework. You're always on the front lines of what the research is saying. So let's talk the obvious. Diets. What are you eating these days? I mean, you're shredded as ever. Is there food? You're just eating cyclic dextrin alone, which would... definitely account for why you feel like throwing up your intestines at the moment.
Write this down because we actually do need to talk about this because the cyclic dextrin diet got me thinking of like, have you been seeing people doing the sugar diet? Legit, the sugar diet. So write it down because we'll come back to it.
Stop. Okay, yeah, that is why I have my little
This is legit freaking crazy.
Okay, but I am on my nicotine gum so I can remember to come back to it. That's another question I want to talk to you about.
Sorry, that's the other reason I think I'm nauseous. So
how much did you do?
So I usually...
You did 3 milligrams.
No, so I usually only do like a 0.5 milligram because I do the combination with methylene blue.
Are you doing that? Okay, well, sorry.
We'll talk about methylene blue.
Okay.
And, but yes, I do like methylene blue, but I use it, kind of dose it properly.
Okay.
But yes, I think I took, like nicotine will make you nauseous anyway.
Oh yeah.
And I think that mixed with the cyclic dextrin, I think it was just like, I give myself anyway.
It makes me super nauseous. I can do 1 milligram of the gum with food in my stomach, and anything more than that or without food in my stomach, I'm like, whoa. It is brutal.
Yeah.
And I am very curious about it because of the cognitive benefits, supposedly, and I have an Alzheimer's gene. So the whole MAHA group of people live by it.
Yeah.
And I started utilizing like low and slow 1 milligram 4 days a week under the pretense that like, okay, I have severe ADD. I really do.
Yeah.
It helps me slow down. It helps with recall, helps processing speed, I notice. And I'm hoping there are these long-term benefits with regard to Parkinson's because it's in the family as well. Like I'm kind of effed. I'm going to end up in a diaper not knowing my kid's name. So I told my son we have a deal. I'm like, you put the pillow when I don't know your name and I poop my pants. I was the first one to hold your little hand when they cut your umbilical cord. Be the last one to put the pillow over my face because I know my daughter won't be able to do it. What are you thinking about nicotine? Is this like a trend or is this legit?
No, I don't think it's a trend. I think that nicotine does get a bad rap just because it's been,
cigarettes,
all of the other carcinogens and crap that's in a cigarette. Like people don't, it's really hard for them to say like, what is nicotine versus a cigarette? Like people, you talk to 99% of the population, they're not going to really understand. You hear nicotine, they're going to automatically associate that.
Of course.
I mean, nicotinic acid, like all this is an energy currency in the body essentially, or promotes the energy currency, ATP. So in the terms of like creating energy in the body, it's perfectly fine. Now, do you form a habit with it? That's the thing I don't necessarily like, is anytime you borrow from tomorrow for today, right? So it's like if you're using nicotine as a way to get energy, or there's just no free rides. So as much as I like nicotine, I'm always looking at it with that perspective, right?
That's so interesting. See, I just thought it's neuroprotective.
Well, it is, but it's still this, right? Like there's a lot of things that are potentially neuroprotective that, so I don't know. I
do that with caffeine as well.
Caffeine's a perfect example, right? You could say the same thing with coffee, right? Coffee, okay, you have all the antioxidants in coffee. Most people get the majority of their antioxidants in a given day from their actual literal cup of coffee. That's like the most antioxidants they're getting in a day, right? But you could say all this, and you say all these other like cardiometabolic benefits of caffeine, right? You're gonna
performance
like lipolysis and this and that.
Right.
But then you can also say, well, okay, you're also creating more oxidative stress because you're burning hot, right?
Right.
So the same kind of thing happens with nicotine in certain ways. It's like, yeah, it's a hormetic stressor to a certain degree, and then it's also good for telomere. The point is I'm okay with having like a small amount of nicotine, right? And like testing it out. But I think the moment that it becomes a habit, the moment that it becomes part of your like almost, you need it, or it becomes your identity. Like a lot of people like, I've got close friends that are first responders, and it's just becomes like they need it, right? They need it. Actually, the state of California a while back actually had me do a video for the fire academies, educating them on nicotine. Not because they wanted them to stop nicotine, but because they wanted to educate them on how to use it a little bit better, because people they're pounding like 7, 10, like just going all the time. And I understand, like they've got to be able to perform, they've got to be able to do their job. It makes sense, but also like maybe not that much.
Of course.
Right?
It sounds like the same theme though with this kind of stuff that I generally adhere to, because it's like, well, there's good and then there's bad and then it's a balancing game. It sounds like it's a balancing game and kind of low and slow. Don't overdo it. Like I don't allow myself to have more than 2 cups of coffee a day. I don't allow myself to have more than like 5 milligrams of nicotine over the course of the week. But I'm also not addictive. So I'm not going to end up doing 5 and needing 10 and then needing 20 and then needing, So I'm fortunate in that capacity. I just don't have the chemistry for it.
Even though it's interesting, because even you struggled with your own weight for a while, and it was never really an addiction. I'm going to flip this interview now. Now I'm interviewing you. But I mean, so that was never really a food addiction type issue, or do you?
It was definitely a psychological issue. In other words, it was a crutch and a coping mechanism. It wasn't a defense mechanism. It didn't help me like defend against some sort of deeper issue, but it allowed me to maintain control, and it did provide a connection to my dad. So as a child, he was overweight and he was a tough guy to know. He is a tough guy to know. The relationship's always been off again, on again. But he loved to cook and he loved to eat. So it was really the one thing that we would do together. And then whenever I would go through harder times as a kid, you would associate it with comfort, something to look forward to, something I could control. And it wasn't until, everyone's heard this boring story, but I got into martial arts that I started to have other things, which gave me a sense of empowerment. And the group that I was with in martial arts really looked down upon it. And I wanted to fit in and I wanted to belong, like eating Cheetos at Taco Bell. It was not cool.
All the cool kids are doing that.
So that helped. And over time, I began to appreciate health as a means of transcendence. Like when I felt empowered physically, I felt empowered in other areas.
You took refuge in it, in a way.
Very much so. That's exactly it. Yeah. But the chemistry of...
Welcome to the Thomas DeLauer Show.
Which will make everybody tune in, to be totally honest. I'm so truly excited to have you, by the way, because I know no one gets you. Like, I'm giddy about it, which is just ridiculous.
No one gets me, like, physically, or no one gets me.
No one gets me.
No one gets me either, man. Like,
you're a tough guy to get because you breathe rarefied air. You're one of those guys. I remember Susie Orman once said this to me. And she's like, listen, what kind of expert are you going to be? Are you going to be the one that is aspirational or the one that's relatable? You're aspirational. I know you may think you're relatable, but you're definitely the guy that's aspirational. And you're definitely the go-to expert when I want someone who's going to disseminate the information, who's going to put himself in the mix, who's going to read the studies and then apply them and then get back to me with an answer. Yeah. That's what I know you to do. That's why I've followed you for, oh my God, a real freaking long time. Back when you probably only had like 1 million followers. So, that's what I definitely turn to you for. But given that, what do you think that we... Honestly, like I'll get back to all the fun stuff and the peptides and the this and the that.
We're still waiting for my answer on what I eat.
Well, I was going to say, do you think we're overthinking that? Like, is it just a friggin' like common sense? I tend to think that.
Yeah.
But then maybe not. Maybe it is the high protein, high fiber. Like, what do you
I think it just comes down to how people are wired. I mean, I think that we
point.
really, really try to generalize this way too much, like all the way down to like a calories in, calories out thing. Like I understand it, but like we're trying to overgeneralize something for people that are highly bio-individual and have, like, you just described your entire, well, not your entire, but you described your childhood and your associations with food.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost insulting to say, hey, Jillian, like you've had this whole situation, you had this relationship with food. By the way, like just eat less and move more. Like how invalidating does that actually feel, right? So I think getting that off the table or on the table, I think when you look at just, are we overthinking this? On one hand, we're overthinking it, right? Because we like are trying to piecemeal every single mechanistic thing that we possibly can.
Right. It's like they still don't know if they're counting macros or not. Yeah. It's like,
and it's all, at the end of the day, it's like, it's all coming back to this calorie discussion only because at the end of the day, that's just what people kind of get. And we can't expect, and this is not even to sound condescending, but we can't expect most people to understand like epigenetics and all these other things that are going on. And I've learned that in 10 years of running my channel, where I used to try to get so mechanistic in the weeds, and I'd realize that that would get a certain number of people excited that really liked the mechanistic detail. And I'd have like a really affluent, educated audience that really liked that. And then as my brand grew, I realized that most people, it's just glazing over, and it's not even insulting. Like they don't take it personal. They're like, bro, I don't have the time to learn biochemistry right now. So the deeper that you get in the weeds and you understand, like you do understand that there are these nuances, there are these little mechanisms that do actually matter. They do matter.
Do they
matter
like,
to the big,
like B to A+ matter? Or do they matter like infertility's on the rise, cancer's on the rise, diabetes is on the rise? Like it's all everyone's dying and everyone's sick and it's a disaster. Matter.
I think there's a summation for sure, but I think generally probably not to the extent that like social media makes it out to be, but I do think that there are people in the scientific community that are in their silos, their respective silos, that would really believe that, hey, like this, I mean, if you think about it, no one's doing anything wrong. They're operating in their vein, right? Like you've got someone that's an epigeneticist that is going to look at all these epigenetic links with cancer. You've got Thomas Seifert, who's looking at like the metabolic theory of cancer, and he's in that silo. And it's really hard for someone to say, okay, we're looking at the metabolic theory of cancer. Let me also take 8 more years and learn about the somatic theory, right? And now so I try to have empathy there when I understand that like, people are just in their vein of research. But what happens is in social media, we have these people that are learning through ChatGPT, or they're learning through like a very summarized, like a summarized version of this, and they're becoming subject matter experts in a dangerous way where it's making it seem like it's just all these different little mechanistic pieces, when in reality, like those mechanisms matter.
My hope is that we could say, listen, here's the goal. Go to the doctor and get a clean bill of health and walk out the door every year. If I had to tell them in the most basic way how to do it, it's like, okay, whole foods.
Yeah.
Don't eat too much. But the chemical thing is a huge problem, which we'll get back to. But even me, no matter what I touch, if I'm not eating at home and it's fully controlled, I'm like plastic, glyphosate, seed oil. Not that I think the seed oil conversation has gotten a bit out of control, but the processing of the seed oils,
for sure.
Right? Every single thing you look at. So for me, I just try to mitigate it.
Yeah.
It's like,
how do you mitigate it?
Okay. We like this little Italian place. They make a great soup. I caught them heating it up in a friggin' plastic kitchen. They do it right in a microwave in the friggin' open kitchen.
You say caught them. Like, so did you snoop in the kitchen?
No, but like it's an open kitchen. I swear to God. And they serve you the soup in a little ceramic bowl, and I guess they make it, but they batch it. Heat it up in their little batched styrofoam. I almost passed out because I go for this soup at this place like once a week. And
next thing, you're going to be adding cyclic dextrin.
Oh my God. If it helps to remove microplastics, if that's what you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, is there any way you can actually heat this up in what you serve it to me? And can I see, because of course it gets hot, so they don't want to do that because they don't want to be sued.
Yeah.
But I was like, at the very least, can you do it for me?
For sure.
I try to eat home more often than I eat out. I try to choose things on the menu that I know will have less toxic residue, but even a salad, you're like, this is not organic.
No.
Sure, it's got 50 different pesticides and glyphosate, and God knows where they caught this fish or where it was farm raised and what the hell's in there.
And people don't go to a restaurant to get a salad for the lettuce. They go for the whatever dressing is on it, right?
So
wrong. Let's be real.
You're not wrong.
I haven't gone to a restaurant in a long time to be like, that place has the best arugula. Like it just doesn't happen. And my wife likes salads and she doesn't do that. It's all about like, what is the dressing? So it's just.
Yeah, okay. But then what do you eat? Then what do you do? What are you doing? Besides cyclic dextrin. Like, are you doing still like high protein?
So,
I see a lot about that and it makes sense. High protein, high fiber. If I could give somebody a perfect whole food, as chemical free as you can manage, high protein, high fiber in my fantasy world. Am I off base here?
No. I think that it's, I eat high protein. I think that's like the most basic thing that you could underscore out of my diet, right? But I think sometimes it's, people want more. Like, hey, you eat high protein. Like, what's the high protein look like? What is it, right? So it's just, for me, it's usually paying attention more so to my meal timing than anything else.
Oh, really?
So I've always been that way.
Why?
And I'm going to get to like what I eat. I don't want to like dangle this carrot, but for
I
me,
got a lot of carrots I got to ask
maybe
you
we
about,
could drag this out for an hour and a half.
I got a lot of stuff I got to ask you about.
What does he
I need to know about peptides. I need to know about gene therapy. I need to know about stem cells. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we can definitely.
And I want to get into
peptides. I definitely want to talk about.
And I want to get into politics. So you got a long way to go, kid. Pace yourself.
Okay, well, I'll just come right out and say that. Yeah. So cyclic dextrin and ground beef. That's my diet. No, not really. You're the only person that I can actually be sarcastic with.
I'll fall for it.
No, like I never get to actually like show like my humor. It's so funny. I always think about what's his name? The guy that was on Full House. The guy that played
oh gosh, the dad guy
dad.
that, not the guy that died.
Yeah, no, the guy that died. He died. What was his name?
Bob something?
Bob Saget.
Yes.
Like people, like my wife always jokes that I'm like Bob Saget. She's like, oh, your YouTube channel. She's like, you're so like, and then have you ever seen Bob Saget's like stand-up comedy? He's the most like vulgar, hilarious person. So Amber's like, you're like the Bob Saget of the health industry. You've got this channel where you like bleep out any potential curse word. You're like super square. And then she's like, and occasionally you'll go on a podcast and just like, what the like.
I know. I think, do you think it's because you are trying to provide a service, and if you step outside the lines of providing information, you immediately alienate a group of people, and nobody wants to do that.
That's exactly what it is. And there's a certain level of audience capture, which is a whole discussion that we can have. I mean, you're probably very familiar with that, like, right? It's been hard for you to have to kind of, I wouldn't say pivot, like you haven't pivoted, but like you've people see you a certain way, and it's really hard to break out of that, right? Like people see me a certain way, and it doesn't mean that it's a persona or it's not who I am, but that's how they see me. And in the health sphere, like you do kind of have to take it serious. Like, and that's the hard part. Like on a certain level, yeah, I want to be lighthearted. I want to have some fun with this, but I also like the stuff that I talk about, it probably should be taken serious. And I also want to be family friendly. So
of course,
if I have to go on other podcasts and let the vulgarity come out and have some fun and laugh,
of course,
then hopefully people see that and see like I am human. But it's like, you can't necessarily be yourself on a television show, right? Like you've got to like put on a little bit of a front. And so when it comes down to like my diet and things like that, I do talk about that legitimately. Like I'm not going to like say like I eat something that I don't just for the sake of being on camera. But I mean, my diet really is simple if we just come back to it. I know I want to answer that question so we can actually move on, right? So I would say like the main staple for me really is like 93 to 96% ground beef.
Wow,
like,
really?
I'm a fan of leaner ground beef. Okay. I would say avocados.
Okay.
I would say strawberries, blueberries, say raw milk. Maybe if I don't get raw milk, at least A2 milk. I mean, my diet's pretty darn boring. And
Can you tell people why the raw? Let's do that. This is such a friggin' ridiculous debate. Can you please, you know what? Let's lay that out.
Let's talk raw milk for a second.
I mean, it's just like
raw milk is an interesting thing because I think
you're doing it for the probiotics, right?
You're doing it because if
kills
you
the nutrients
have
if you pasteurize it,
the ability to get raw milk, like that's fine. But where we run into a problem is the mass scale of it. It's hard to mass scale it. So I do sincerely understand
because it can develop pathogens.
Yeah, it's really hard to scale it, right? Okay. So it's like if I had a cow in my backyard and I could go drink raw milk every day, you bet your ass I would, right? The issue comes into like, how can you trust like all these other layers, right? Sure. So I think we need to get down to brass tacks and like almost take the political discussion out of raw milk altogether.
How in the name of God, by the way?
Can we?
What the? How dare? Like, how is this political?
That milk is political. It's
been weaponized literally against the nominee for Surgeon General. She drinks raw milk. This is.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting to say the least because, and then, you're labeled if you like raw milk, right? So it's a little bit weird of a discussion to even have at first because you're like, well, Jillian, what kind of milk do you drink? Like, unfortunately, I cannot let you into my home today. Right. We'll try again in 4 years.
I can vote for you. It's just, this is why I no longer, I don't even understand how to talk about diet and exercise anymore because when raw milk becomes a political football, you get drawn into this upside down world.
It is bizarre.
And you start sword fighting in these political arenas because there's this bizarre intersection in the Venn diagram of health and politics. It's like another one that I cannot wrap my head around. I was invited onto a podcast, don't even ask me how or why, this MIT podcast, and it was through Leland Vittert, who's on News Nation, who I happen to love. He's like, hey, my friends have this podcast, and they'd love to have you on. I was like, oh, MIT? I think you've got the wrong girl, but sure, why not? And these are brilliant individuals that are arguing for food dye. And here's the argument, ready? It doesn't matter. So the argument is, we looked at how much petroleum-based food dye it would take to cause health problems, and I would have to eat a semi-full. And I'm thinking, are you listening to yourself? You're trying to make a case of why we should keep petroleum-based food dye because it, quote, doesn't matter? Which, I mean, if I was utilizing common sense, I would kind of default to it's not just the food dye. It's the crap in the air, the crap in the water, the plastic in your soup. It's all these things. Hence, me going back to the mitigate it where you can conversation. Yeah, for sure. But who in the name of God is fighting for petroleum-based food dye?
Yeah.
A freaking MIT engineer. I'm not kidding. As the temps start to rise, I get that familiar urge to refresh my closet. But I am done wasting money on trendy pieces that I wear once, which is why I'm obsessed with Quince. The clothes are timeless, elevated, built to last, no insane markup. I'm talking about 100% European linen shorts and dresses that start at just $30. Italian leather platform sandals, luxe swimwear that looks straight off a runway but costs half of what you'd expect. Quince partners directly with top-tier factories, cutting out the middleman so you get designer quality at a price that actually makes sense. And they only work with ethical, responsible manufacturers who care about people and the planet. Personally, I stocked up on the linen tees and the tanks, and believe it or not, a killer summer dress. Occasionally, I do wear dresses. And honestly, it finally feels like my wardrobe matches my standards. Upgrade your wardrobe at quince.com. Luxury should never mean compromise. Team, give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/Jillian for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Jillian to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Jillian. Has this summer been a bit of a grind? Are you sleeping less? Are you more stressed than ever? Nonstop everything? I speak for myself when I say that. And behind the highlight reels, I think that not just me, but pretty much all high-functioning people are quietly burning out. Low energy, fragile mood, decrease in libido. This is why I like Function Health, because it's the one platform that gives you access to real data. 160 plus biomarkers, plus full body MRIs and CT scans, hormones, inflammation, heart, liver, stress, all tracked over time in one place. And you're going to see what most people never do, like how your cortisol impacts your metabolism and your immunity, or how your testosterone and DHEA, your vitamin D, magnesium levels affect your mood, your energy, your skin, your sex drive. Even your breakouts are not just skin deep. And Function shows you the internal causes. This is why top health experts like Mark Hyman and Andrew Huberman, Jeremy London, they all back Function, because it's a near 360-degree view of your health finally in your hands. So learn more and join using my link. The first 1,000 people get a $100 credit toward their membership. Just visit www.functionhealth.com/Jillian or use the gift code Jillian at sign up to own your health.
I think it just comes down to, like, we have to ask ourselves a very painful question of, where are we putting our effort and energy? Like, right? Like, so unfortunately, we have people that have like platforms that are like spending energy on this. And that's, I guess when you come back down to like the simplification of it, that's where I look at it. I'm like, where do I want to put my time? Where do I want to put my energy? And like, I could spend some time talking about dyes and talking about how they potentially are benign or they potentially are harmful and this and that. But like,
if I've got beetroot juice, then who freaking cares?
Like,
yeah,
exactly. Where you're also going to get additional benefit, right? Okay, so I think that's where people get a little bit hung up too, is they're getting like the hill they want to die on. Like they want to die on that hill so bad that they're going to actually say that beetroot juice is the enemy. Not because it's actually the enemy, but because there is another option that doesn't matter. Right. So like when I try to, one thing that I've always done with my channel and that I've always predicated my channel on is taking the high road and taking the positive spin on things. I try not to fearmonger. When, I used to go to grocery halls and I wouldn't like talk about the crap products that are in the store. I'd talk about the good ones because I would say, hey, let's just teach people to go to the store and make a better decision.
I love that.
Not demonize, right? And so when I'm looking at like the alternatives, the natural, like turmeric and these things, like there's extra benefits that come there. So I try to take that spin no matter what. I'm like, turmeric, cool, we get the coloring, but then we're also getting a potential anti-inflammatory.
Right.
Like beetroot, okay, we're also getting vasodilation. We're also getting like nitric oxide. We're getting these beneficial things for cardiovascular health. There's a lot of cool things that happen there. And so let's just take this fight out of the equation and let's just talk about the beneficial aspects that we might get from some of these natural flavorings or not natural flavorings, but natural colors.
Right. Why do you think the fight is in the equation? Like the fluoride thing?
Because we like to fight.
Is that it? We weren't fighting in our space 10 years ago. I mean, maybe like, Tracy Anderson says small muscles. Jillian says big. I don't know. Like these dumb, stupid.
Yeah, but they were dumb, stupid, and they were big, right? Okay, but how much faster does the mind move now with social media, right? Everything is happening faster. That means the only thing that we can start battling about is, by very nature, it's going to come down to these smaller and smaller and smaller things, right? Like next we're going to be arguing about, like, who knows, like how much biotin is in, it's like we're going to argue about this stuff because like things are moving at such warp speed. We're finding things to argue about. And then it kind of circles back to these big arguments again. I think.
But it's not, you know what it is? Here's what it is. Here's what I think is different. Is that it might have been Ken Berry fighting for carnivore against some vegan, right? And that's within our space. And they're fighting over the dogma of their diet or their supplement or their fitness modality. It's like, no, I like Pilates. No, I like kettlebells. I mean, I'm sure both are fine. Do both. If you like it, do it. But now I've got an MIT scientist telling me, like, we want food dye. And I'm seeing a Surgeon General Surgeon General nominee graduated with honors as president of her class from Stanford Medical School being called a health influencer because she drinks raw milk. Like, it's being weaponized. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And that is why I think I have moved in such a different direction, because I'm like, no, you don't get to do this. You don't get to capture basic biology and health and use this as a tool politically. You don't get to do it. I refuse.
Yeah, no, I firmly agree with you on that. I feel like that's, where sometimes people are frustrated with how I run my channel because I choose not to engage in that. I choose not to engage in that.
Thank God you don't, because then I can actually get answers to my health and fitness questions.
And it's like unfortunately, even academia has sides now, right? So it's like, can we even trust like people that are potentially mouthpieces for a given university, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I try to be somewhat of the voice of reason in that. And sometimes that means that like I've had to change my mind on a lot of things, like so that I can be a trusted source as an even keel. And I would rather, like, you got to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. I'd rather upset a few people by like saying, hey, like, you know what? Maybe I had this hard stance before. Maybe I've softened my stance on that. But now like I'm on a level playing field where I can provide you like general good direction without having like a political skew or having, and it's frustrating because like you were someone that I really looked up to in the fitness industry because what you stood for like early on was just flat out just
hard work.
It was hard work.
It was hard work. That's it.
Yeah.
Just I always tried to keep it as simple as possible. So I would go to the U's of the world and the PhDs and the MDs and be like, okay, tell me, why am I drinking methyl and blue? And you guys have these crazy answers about mitochondria and electron chains. And I would spend 3 hours trying to understand what you're saying. And then I would go back and be like, we're drinking methyl and blue because it gives you this and it doesn't give you that. And sure. And I would try to keep it simple. But,
period.
And I want to get to that because I've been so skeptical of that. It's a freaking fish tank cleaner. I'm having a hard time with it for sure. But do you think if we now we'll get back to the political stuff, but if we get back to how much of this biohacking is going on, and I'm so guilty of it. I mean, I personally love it. I just wonder if it's accessible for the masses. And I would simply also say to you, they say the person that gets the best healthcare, the worst healthcare, are the ones with the least money and the most money.
Of course.
Because the most money, you're Brian Johnson off the coast of South America editing your genes.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, hope this works out. I'm also fascinated by him because I'm like, is this guy going to drop dead tomorrow or is he going to live to 200? Real. It's so cool. And you do that, hence the cyclic dextrin. I'm like, okay, are you projectile vomiting?
I have a confession too. I tried this morning and I think that's what's like messing with me a little bit.
Oh no.
I actually an oxytocin nasal peptide. And I think that plus the cyclic dextrin, it just made a recipe. But that, okay, so we'll talk about peptides and we can come back. God, we've got so many different things.
I'm so fascinated by peptides.
Before we go peptides, like it's just sitting in my brain, wanting to talk about the sugar diet.
Sugar diet. Go.
So do you know Mark Bell? You've got to know Mark.
I do know the name, but he's a fitness guy, big fitness guy.
Yeah, Mark Bell's awesome.
Didn't he train Henry Cavill for Superman, I think? Something.
He may have. I just know Mark Bell as, he's become a really like trusted friend in the industry. He's someone that's like
big fitness guy though, right?
Yeah, he was a power lifter. So I can't remember what records he had, like crazy records, like 1,000-pound bench press. I think he was one of the first people to like break 1,000 pounds on the bench. I can't remember his exact.
Men, I swear to God, they like run 100 miles and bench 1,000
Okay,
pounds.
that's a different discussion we need to talk about.
Okay.
Because,
100-mile run. Okay.
Vincenzo, who's sitting in the back room, he and I were talking about this, about like the Goggins, the Cam Hanes, and like what are we validating here? So please write that down, because I would love to talk about that.
Okay, sugar diet. I'm with you.
Like,
I'm back to that.
Sugar diet. So I noticed that Mark Bell was like, he posted something, and I almost thought it was
a joke,
satire, like a joke. He's like, "This is my breakfast," and it was Sour Patch Kids, and I'm just like, Mark is someone that I don't want to say coached, because that sounds like I have some ownership over it. But he and I have bounced ideas. Like we talk all the time, like weekly at least. And usually in the vein of relatively low carb, how to time our carbs properly, right? So all of a sudden I see him just like Sour Patch Kids for breakfast. And I'm like, okay, this has got to be a joke. And he's talking about crazy energy and this and that. And he's linking out to this guy, Cole Robinson, who I remember. Do you remember the snake diet?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah, because you've been around the block and you're probably just like numbed all these different things.
I just kind of,
the snake diet was like, okay, we're just going to consume water and salt, right? And and Cole's a perfectly fine guy. Like I like Cole, like he's actually got some inspirational stuff, but it's just like
water and salt.
He was basically talking about fasting is what it was.
Okay.
Anyway, so then he started talking about this sugar diet thing. And people are getting crazy shredded, just consuming ridiculously high amounts of sugar throughout the course of the day, and then maybe having a little bit of protein at night. Now, it's working, and I don't know. Because
they're working out like crazy. Because the insulin's a growth hormone.
There's a lot of, so this is like a perfect example of where like it probably does work, and there's lots of little like mechanisms that we can pull on, but sometimes we miss the forest for the trees.
So the goal is to be shredded. And I'm arguably utilizing this bananas insulin surge and then training on it.
Yeah, so
and it's functioning as like an HGH boost kind of a thing. If I had to guess where you're going?
Similar. So there's something called FGF21, which is fibroblast growth factor 21.
Okay.
FGF21 elevates after like 7-8 days of a fast, right? It starts to elevate. And it is a pretty miraculous thing. It basically triggers uncoupling. So you've got like a massive amount of brown fat activation, like significant amounts of like body heat basically.
Can you explain why that's good, by the way, for just if anybody...
It's not always good, but it's good for fat loss, right? So if you think of it as uncoupling, so mitochondrial uncoupling, Dr. Ben Bickman explained this super well. Think of like the engine of a car and think of the transmission, and then think of like when you are in neutral, you are uncoupled. Okay. So imagine like you've got energy moving down like a drivetrain down through the transmission, connecting to the positrack rear end of your, probably, you look like a Chevelle type person. So you got,
I do love a muscle car. Right? I'm guilty as charged.
But when you rev the motor, like the car's going to go, right? Okay. But if you put it in neutral and you rev the motor, what's going to happen? Right? So that is a perfect way to describe what an uncoupling protein is. So an uncoupling protein is not necessarily advantageous for energy manufacturing, but it is advantageous for releasing energy as heat. So it's the mitochondria's way of saying like energy surplus, kind of like dissipating as heat. So it could be tremendous for fat loss. But the problem is a lot of the brown fat research. So brown fat is high in these uncoupling proteins, right?
Hence why everybody was cold plunging.
Yeah, they wanted to activate
brown fat.
Yes. Problem is most of the brown fat literature is in mice who have way more amounts of brown fat than humans do. We have like a little patch in like the back, right? However, when this FGF21 is activated, like abnormal amounts do activate, right? So there is a noticeable thing. And there's some studies that have kind of compared like high sucrose, like eukalorik type diets. But I think what's happening with most people, and like Mark's sort of claim to fame on it, and I want to make sure that I'm saying this with respect to Mark, because as I've talked to Mark about this, he's not doing it to be a freak. He's doing it because like, I'm willing to test anything mentality.
I know you guys all, you, Peter Attia, same thing. Remember when he did rapamycin and he's like, I've got these ulcers. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I forgot about that. I keep looking up at my picture in the mirror here, or in the TV, in my monitor, and I'm like, I look so pale. You don't. I look like a...
You don't. Well, if vomit. We all know why.
Okay.
It's some
Cyclic-
oxytocin, nicotine,
Cyclic-
dextrin experiment of the morning.
Yes.
Sorry.
And
Okay.
the sugar diet.
No,
No, I'm not doing it.
Okay, good.
So, so I mean, very full disclosure, like utmost respect for Mark because he's actually saying like, I'm going to try this and do it. Like he's willing to do that.
Okay.
And he's actually getting crazy shredded on it. But I mean, there's a lot of different things that are going on there. Mark also is on, TRT. So that makes a big difference.
Out of here.
Well, this
is the Dana White conversation. Listen, I've not met Dana and I have a huge amount of respect for him. But you are on TRT. Like it's very difficult to extrapolate different things you're doing when you're on TRT.
For sure. I think, and he acknowledges that. So, but I mean, if we put it all in just kind of one spot, you've got, he's, also metabolically healthy because he's been training for decades and
has
decades.
A crazy amount of muscle to use the sugar, basically.
Yeah. And he's been low carb for a very long amount of time. So I always have this contrast theory where anytime you like rapidly change something, like if you're somewhat of a healthy person, like you're going to have a response. Like it's a hormetic stress to a certain degree. You've got someone that has been low carb for a very long period of time, then all of a sudden has high carb, low fat. Also, low fat diets work for fat loss, but it's not necessarily going to be good for long-term metabolic health.
What do the biomarkers look like after 3 months of this?
So the point is that like we just go wherever, like keto's dead. Okay, let's talk about sugar diet. And Mark is able to kind of test these things himself. The thing I love about Mark is that he'll always sort of he'll find the positive in things no matter what, right? And people that follow Mark are not necessarily following Mark for health advice. They're more so following him for how do I get big, shredded, and strong. So it's a different vein. So I did a video and I let Mark know that I was going to do a video. I said, Mark, I'm going to do a video and it's going to sound like I'm putting you on blast, but I'm actually just kind of reverse engineering what you're actually doing so that people understand it. And I think he made a video rebuttal back on it. And again, this is all like with each other's permission. Like that's the thing that I like about a person like Mark is say what you want about the diet that he's doing is like Mark can say like, hey, Thomas, like, are you cool if I do a rebuttal video on this? And we have like a public discourse on this. But anyway, so like me coming from the low carb space, I looked at that and I'm like, okay, like if you're overweight and you're already insulin resistant, this could be very problematic, right?
Catastrophic, I would imagine. And there's no nutrients in that food.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's like the piece that I think people will start to overlook, right? But now I'm seeing people that are taking the approach with fruit and juices. And I'm like, okay, so now we're back to juice fasting. And this is the stuff where I think at the end of the day, like we're just going to keep circling the drain. That's the discussion. So this isn't to bash the sugar diet. I think it's interesting. It's bizarre.
Oh my God, let me bash it for you. It's like, the worst ever. Keep going.
But
no, I'm bashing it. I will bash it. Sorry, Mark. We don't know each other. Are you out of your mind?
But no. I see the fact that like we're just circling the drain. Like we're just going to come back. We're going to keep trying a different thing,
But see, this is why.
But they all kind of work.
End up saying, can you eat whole food? Don't eat too much. Hence the concept of the calories in, calories out piece. Not the psychological component, because that's a very different beast, without question. But the food part, like just eat whole food.
Okay, well, and I completely agree. I think we underestimate the food matrix. So it's like you can take any direction and get in the weeds with it. But like I think we underestimate like the power of the food matrix and whole foods in their actual whole form, right? Because we've tried to, like Brian Johnson's a great example. Okay, let's take all these things that are good in the diet and let's put it into a test tube, right? And if you have enough hours and enough dollars, then you could probably do that and you could artificially remodel that. But at the end of the day, like the food matrix, like whatever the powers that be in the universe or God or whoever you want to look at has created these things in a form where there's energetic balance for us to consume them in their whole form. And we can scientifically debate that until we're blue in the face. And I think almost every scientist will say, well, like they probably, all those nutrients and all those things work together for a reason.
Right? And the nutrients are the most bioavailable in the food, essentially is what you're saying. And I've been guilty of supplementing a million things. But the reason I do it is because I'm like, okay, is my diet varied enough? Did I eat enough wild caught salmon this week for my omega-3s? No, I'm hiding from the sun because it's aging me, even though I know I should get sun, but then I take my vitamin D. All right, I'm eating protein, but am I getting enough protein? Okay, let me take my collagen peptides for my skin. Like I worry that I'm not getting a varied enough diet, and I worry about depleted soil, and I worry about excess oxidative stress.
Yeah.
So that's why
And then the stress is actually creating more oxidative stress. So you got to worry about that too.
Do you supplement? Well, I mean, you're supplementing, but I get that you're like messing with different things for nutrition. And
I go
like
through phases where
optimal.
like I'll rampantly experiment on things, but like I think there's a difference between like what's my normal supplementation, like what's my normal, and then what's in an experimental category, right? Because like I will
totally
experiment with
that.
certain things, like obviously like peptides. I've had some fun experimenting with certain ones, and there's some that I feel comfortable being like, I just don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze, right? We can talk about those.
But, I definitely want to get into that,
I mean,
because it's also like, where are you getting them?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Oh, that's a great dude that's right behind the taco truck.
No, did you find him like on the dark
He also
web?
does vasectomies in the back of his truck.
At the DNC. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think I was there for that. I remember that. There was also an abortion there too that you could get. Do you see? Do you see? You see?
Can I get some water really quick?
Yes, Lori, can we get a little more water? Right.
Oh,
okay.
that's so awesome.
Yeah. So look at, all right. So let's shift gears to the future of wellness and longevity. There's so much out there, but what really is exciting to me in theory is, of course, peptides, because they're technically accessible at the moment. I mean,
sure.
You could get BPC 157 if you're injured my elbow snowboarding. Brigham Bueller sent me BPC 157. I don't know have you met him, by the way? If not, you need to meet him. He's awesome. He runs a company called Ways to Well. And he has like a compounding pharmacy called Revive, like super cool guy. And he'll do stem cell.
Microplastics for the win, by the way.
I know, plastics. I know. This is what happens. Yeah. This is because this is not my studio. It's Howie Mandel's studio. And you know, Howie Mandel, for all of his neuroses, is not afraid of microplastics. I'm going to need to scare him.
Well, I mean, again, here I keep hijacking going in weird directions, but we'll table microplastics, but it is a hard one to avoid. So they're good there. Yeah.
Okay. But then you've got like, oh, what can help you remove it? Sweating and high fiber and like, this is where gummy bears are not going to help you detox
unless they're
microplastics.
soluble fiber gummy bears.
What? Get out of here. By the way, my 13-year-old is going to watch this and he's going to be like, Mom, DeLauer says I can have soluble fiber gummy bears. Okay, so here's what I've been taking. Thanks to Brian Johnson,
and the guy with the vasectomy clinic behind the talk.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
I started taking cerebral lysine. I had to ship it in from Austria.
Yeah, but
Brian helped me do it.
And I think that you and I probably, I've tried that too, but then they stopped being able to get it as of about 3 weeks ago, right?
Stop it. Oh, yeah. See, I have a stash.
I stashed on it too.
I've stockpiled
and it was for my wife's TBI. She got kicked in the head in the horse. Kicked in the head by her horse. But keep going. So cerebral lysine is awesome. We can talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for anybody watching, they give it to stroke victims in Europe, but we don't have it here. Then I screwed up my elbow and I took body protective compound BPC 157 to help me heal my elbow. I haven't gotten into this oxytocin nasal spray. I did start taking very recently like ipamorelin, right, which is like an HGH precursor, I guess, because it's
a GHRP. Yeah.
Okay. So listen, I could grow a third nipple, or I could live to 200.
I got a guy for that too.
What do you? What do you think? Is this and by the way, you can't just get it because the friggin' FDA is beholden to. Yeah. I don't want to say, what I always say because it actually gets me suppressed if I say it.
Yep.
If I say BP, you guys put it together, 2 words. One starts with a B, one starts with a P, but it's getting suppressed so they can, Merck can trademark all these apparently like 200 different peptides. So they can't be compounded, I guess, right now. And
yeah, the peptide world is weird. It's constantly changing in terms of like the bureaucratic piece of it.
I didn't know you couldn't get cerebral lysine now.
Cerebral lysine, like it's definitely That's an interesting one. And then I would caution with cerebrolysin too, because like too much neuroplasticity can be bad too, right? So like,
do it every 6 months, 10 doses over 20 days.
Yeah, this is, and it's like, we may even have to like cut talking about this, quite frankly, because it's like, since it's so off label if you're talking about dosing strategy, but like cerebrolysin is it's interesting that it's so heavily used in the EU and not used here.
Right.
Because like there are a number of things like for TBI, for stroke,
traumatic brain injury, where
it actually plays.
Sometimes it's just in case.
Because you have like a tissue, an area of the brain that's essentially dead, and you're trying to get blood flow to that area, and you want neuroplasticity. Like neuroplasticity is where you're like, growing new neurons and new connections. And, but obviously in like a healthy person that doesn't have an injury, like taking that could be potentially, I don't want to say catastrophic, but you can like maybe get undesirable outcomes, right? Where you're like, too much neuroplasticity might make it so you can't even focus, right?
Okay.
But that's a separation, separate that for another conversation. If we come back to like the peptides thing.
Okay.
A lot of these peptides have been around for a long time and used in various research settings. And then I don't know why some of them, like BPC 157, I think is closer to getting approved for other uses compared to some of these others. But like I have a doctor that literally will write a prescription. They just have to be compounded, right? So they can't be like, you're not going to have a regular pharmaceutical company create these peptides yet, right? It might come to that.
But now they're starting a war on compounding pharmacies, especially GLP-1.
Well, I was just going to say, because like, I mean, back when I remember like the peptides, when I was in my 20s, I remember like trying to build muscle and messing around with peptides, like and getting them from like bodybuilding forums and playing, right? It was like kind of you just kind of went that route.
Yes.
I don't recommend that, right? But it's like dumb kid doing those things. And I remember like GLP-1s being like a research peptide, like that people would go and they would use it for bodybuilding competitions to like cut, right? And then it started coming into like the compounding world. And now it's, straight up prescription, Pfizer, whatever it is,
Yep. And you can't titrate the dose.
Yeah, you cannot titrate the dose. And I feel like if we talk about the proper utilization of GLP-1s, and if someone is going to use it, like they need to be able to titrate the dose. That is imperative.
That's where I've arrived at.
Yeah, it is imperative. It is imperative that you titrate the dose because like you're just going to, you're crashing people's metabolisms. And like a conspiracy mindset of mine starts going like, are we trying to crash everyone's metabolisms? Because like, I don't, quite frankly, have a problem with GLP-1 receptor agonists. I don't. I think that they have a potential use case, but when they're in a stuck dose, that's problematic. So, and that makes it, and then you're talking to people that don't have the ability to like, they can't have these open conversations with their physician where they just be like, am I taking too much? And all that they have the training in is based on what's in front of them, right? So it gets really difficult. So again, we can table that one because like that's gets into a different category. But a lot of these peptides are still reasonable to get in like an absolutely legal fashion. You just have to have a doctor that has a connection with compounding pharmacies. Now, where it stands as of this day, like day of recording, I actually don't know because it's flip-flop back and forth. I remember back in December, I remember they came down hard on peptides and then they sort of overturned it. And then peptides were like kind of allowed again, right? So it was...
I don't think they are right now. And the only reason I say that is because there are pharmacies that are doing it under the pretense that it's like a gray area. And so, for example, my friend Brigham Bueller, he's like, I'm too big now in the space. He had to stop compounding them and he refers me to smaller compounding pharmacies and he's trying to work with the FDA so that compounding pharmacies can make peptides for people legally. But because certain powers that be want to control the space, they don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
And same with, there's like a war on peptides, there's a war on stem cells. And I'm just looking at this stuff thinking, if I had a stroke, I would hope the appropriate medical professional would be giving me cerebrolysin instead of me importing it from Austria, learning from Brian Johnson and injecting it into my ass cheek in the bathroom, but this is not advice. This is just what I've been doing.
Did Brian Johnson actually talk about it?
Yeah.
Because I've known about cerebrolysin just through, quite frankly, just like the veteran community who like dealt with like a lot of TBIs and like they're, I didn't know that Brian Johnson actually talked about it.
Okay. So Brian Johnson had a video on his Instagram with a horse needle injecting himself in the ass, which, I mean, if you follow Brian Johnson, he's done this a million times over, but nevertheless, he's like, this is arguably one of the most impactful cognitive performance enhancers I've utilized. And I was like, wait, what? I started paying attention. And again, to just give it a little more context, I have an ApoE4 Alzheimer's gene. I have always struggled extremely with memory.
Yeah.
Always. At 27, people would say, like, we met, we went to dinner with so-and-so, and I didn't remember.
Yeah.
So it's very bizarre. It's a little bit scary. And as I've gotten a little bit older, the necessity to have that verbal fluidity, the ability to recall, the processing speed, my need for it has increased work-wise, and my age does not lend itself to getting better with regard to mental acuity. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm definitely going to be an Alzheimer's candidate. There's no question. And then I got a full body MRI, and they found tiny, you tell me why, by the way. In other words, like, I think there's something there with regard to maybe something I was forced to take that I shouldn't have. And this is all speculation and conspiracy theory. However, little white matter lesions on my brain.
Interesting.
Right. Interesting. I don't smoke. I don't have high blood pressure. Exercise. I eat well. So, like, what could potentially cross the blood-brain barrier and attack your brain? I mean, I don't know. I'm not even going to say, because, again, we don't need this to get suppressed, but I found it real friggin' weird. So at that point, I'm watching Brian Johnson's video on cerebralizing, and he's like, this is, the most impactful thing I did. So I messaged Brian, and I was like, I can't find this.
Yeah.
I called Brigham. He's like, I can't make it. And he's like, I can't make it, and I don't know anybody who does make it. Brian connected me to a place out of Austria that shipped it to me in the mail. And then Brigham taught me, like, how to dose it and how to use it, and monitored, in his team, like, thank God, monitors me. And so I have, like, a little 5 milliliter, or whatever the hell it is, milliliter friggin' syringe. I do it every 6 months, 10 doses every other day. So 10 doses total every other day. I'm not, again, don't F with this, but that's what I've been doing. And I've been through 2 cycles of it so far.
Do you feel a difference?
I'm doing so much stuff, it's tough to say, though, right? So here's what I'm doing. Now I'm doing tons of creatine because I'm like, oh, cognitive benefits. Yeah. Okay, I'm in. I never touched it because I was like, I don't want to get big. I don't want to, like, that whole old school bodybuilding bro thing. I fully took the bait on. And I was like, I don't want acne. Now we know that's not true. I don't want to lose my hair. Now we know that's not true. And I don't want bloating. And now we know that's not true. But it's like, it was true when I looked into it years ago. That's what was the sort of parting line about creatine. Now, oh my God, you get all this, cellular energy and none of these side effects are real. And it's really important for cognitive performance. So I'm taking that. I'm taking, the cerebralizing every now and again, the nicotine gum. I strategically dose my caffeine. So the problem is, how do you extrapolate one thing? Yeah. So I can't tell you which one, or if not, but I do notice that I can be quicker and more clear, provided I've slept, with all of these different tools.
Yes, for sure.
They make a difference. And the BPC 157, my wife has this autoimmune condition that's really rare called anatoderma. And I was like, all right, if million doctors tried to figure it out, and it just affects her skin. Yeah. And so long story short, I was like, okay, I've interviewed a million different gastroenterologists and rheumatologists. So what's going to cause this? Is it something in the environment? Let's clean out the environment. Is it a leaky gut, a permeable gut? Maybe. I put her on oral BPC 157. Game changer. Yeah. Game changer.
Well, that's where I think that the oral version of BPC is much easier to come by, much easier. It's a lower barrier to entry for most people. But all that aside, as far as how it actually works, I mean, it's produced in the gut, right? So BPC 157 is produced in the gut. And its sole, I shouldn't say its sole, but its primary purpose is to repair the gut as the gut gets damaged, right? Because the gut goes through damage, right? The gut. Right. And this is where I have, at the risk of sounding like just typical fitnessy type marketing, like, a leaky gut is a very, very real thing. And unfortunately, that term has been taken by, like, internet marketers, and, like, so it's,
you can't even use it in like, I invested in a supplement company. You can't even say it.
No, it's so frustrating because it's a very real thing.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It's called intestinal permeability.
Right.
And the way that in a research setting, oftentimes they literally induce inflammation is by using lipopolysaccharides, LPS, which is the molecule that's created by gram-negative bacteria and crosses through a permeable gut. So inflammation at its very core in a lot of situations comes from a leaky gut. And it's unfortunate that like it's been over-marketed and overhyped. I shouldn't say overhyped. It's just been over-marketed because it is a very real thing. And like gut barrier integrity is one of the most important things. And that's what's interesting about BPC 157 in an oral form is it probably gets to the epicenter a little bit faster.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of BPC 157. Like I've done videos talking about my own personal experience with like shoulder injuries and using it in localized spots. It works. But where it's really designed to work is in the gut. So I feel like when people are dealing with more just brain foggy, like kind of inflammatory type feelings, a lot of times it could be stemming from the gut in the first place. So that's right. Because it's just,
of course.
But if you say that, you sound like you're just another
snake
health
oil
guru,
salesman.
snake oil salesman. But
TikTok influencer.
Yep. Got my bum bra. I love bum bra.
I was actually listening to something this morning about bone broth again. I was like, oh, for God's sake already with the bone broth.
It's a great food. It's just, I just don't know if it needs to be like.
Of course, I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was bone broth everything 5 years ago, was it, or something? Yeah. So of those peptides, what do you think the general public should be looking at? Or should we be looking at these things on a case-by-case basis? Like, okay, digestive problems, injury, traumatic brain injury, stroke, or is there something there that would just make Thomas DeLauer put it in his nasal passages on a regular freaking Monday morning? Or is it Tuesday? Oh my God, is it Wednesday? Which is why I need it. I don't even know what day it is.
So oxytocin, obviously is like a hormone that's released when you're so it actually can make you more personable and make you like just a little more relaxed. And it's not like I've never taken it before. Like I actually have used it in the evening time just to it actually really does help you just feel kind of calm. Like exactly what you would think oxytocin is like, right? So like oxytocin is a peptide or a hormone that is secreted like when you're around your family and you're feeling that love and connection, right?
Hugs, sex,
and it's like the things. It's even kind of somewhat even the opposite of sex in some ways. It's like it's much more just about connection, right? And like oxytocin is such a powerful hormone when it comes to like even male drive, right? So like the drive, yes, it comes from testosterone, but male drive is also, especially if you're like a family-oriented person, it truly, like they've seen, like, okay, you're having increases in oxytocin when you are working for a purpose that is really for those that you love and care about. So like it translates into a lot of things. So I actually find it's been like one of the biggest like nootropic hacks for me is it's like, it actually helps me have this drive that I can't explain, where it's just like, I want to work harder for my family.
That's awesome.
Which is something that's, neither here nor there.
You need to work harder though,
I've also
but okay.
right. I need to, but I've also talked to people that have had like taken oxytocin and have like zero impact from it whatsoever. I've never gotten nausea from it. I think it's just kind of joking with the fact that like, what a day to just experiment. I figure you're cool. Like you'll just like,
I'm super cool. I'm fascinated by it. So would you recommend it for the normal person, and how would you tell them?
Peptides or oxytocin?
Peptides.
Okay. Yeah, because oxytocin I think is something that is a little bit more like, if you're into the nootropic world, like there's that whole category. I
am actually. So
yeah, I think you would probably like it.
Really?
I think you'd find that it's also
buying this shit on Amazon.
No,
though?
Hell no. No. Definitely don't buy it.
Right. Like where are we getting this stuff?
So I have a concierge doc, which is a whole separate discussion, right? Like, okay, like I'm blessed that like I can afford a concierge doc, but it also sucks that like, in order for me to have an intimate like dialogue with my physician that actually allows me to like talk about like my goals and what I'm after and my problems, I have to pay an arm and a leg. Like it kind of sucks, right? Like, however, like this is my life. This is also my career. It's definitely worth me investing in. So yeah, so he's awesome with that. Like he's not going to like be irresponsible with it.
So your compounding pharmacy can make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's like
something. So a respectable doctor was a connection to a compounding pharmacy. And there are still, whether it's legal or not, I know there are still pharmacies that are making it, waiting to get in trouble. And the bigger players, I can say, like my friend Brigham, are not doing it right now, but are working on getting the FDA
Yeah.
to allow them to do it. What do you think about gene therapy?
Okay,
Have you
so
seen this?
Yes, I know what it is. I've had some experts talk about
We
it.
should really, maybe you could explain it because I don't fully think I understand
like
it
talking
yet.
about like follistatin and things like that.
Okay, so somebody even reached out to me the other day and they're like, oh, I'd love to do a collab on gene therapy. And I'm thinking, wait, what?
Interesting.
What? And it had to do with angiogenesis. So
Yeah, for sure.
More blood vessels, helping your body create more blood vessels. And then they started running through like over 6 months, you'll have X amount more vasculature. Yeah. And so obviously, like, okay, well, I don't, I would definitely, again, going back to the cognitive piece, I don't want that small blood vessel death in my brain. I certainly don't do enough HIIT training, which I should be doing, to prevent that without all of this craziness. But nevertheless, hair loss, they're shooting it into people's heads for hair loss or whatever the hell they're doing. And I just thought, like, okay, again, is this going to be dystopian and people are going to end up getting super sick from this? Or is this the future of never aging, never losing your hair?
I think there's a there.
Okay.
Right. But I think that like when you start getting into messing with your genes, I get a little bit concerned.
Yeah. Right.
So follistatin is a good example. And that's follistatin can be found in eggs in like small amounts, right? So like on one hand, you're like, oh, okay, like this can't be that bad. But when you take a high concentration of it, it's a myostatin inhibitor, essentially. So myostatin is like, have you ever seen those Belgian blue cows? Those cows that just are ridiculously jacked. Have you ever seen a picture of those?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. I thought that was fake, though.
No, that's legit. So those are Belgian blue cows. They have a myostatin deficiency, which means that the myostatin is actually like our rate limiter on our muscle growth, right? So like myostatin is going to prevent us from our muscles getting like too big and too strong for our tendons and things like that. It's actually a very important thing.
Okay.
Belgian blue cows, they
don't have it.
Or something along the lines of like they just don't produce much of it, right? They don't produce much myostatin, or they have a myostatin inhibition gene where it basically makes it so that they can just continue to get jacked.
Every guy in the world right now watching this is like, how do I limit my myostatin?
Yeah, except newsflash, women usually don't like super gigantically overly muscled dudes. So it's like, if you're doing it for, what are you doing it for?
Got it.
but it's like, when you look at like the Belgian blue cows, like, okay, yeah, there are situations where they like will break their legs and things like. Point is that if you're looking at follistatin as like a human, you are looking at a degree of myostatin inhibition. So like and it's a very long acting treatment where it has an effect for a long period of time, for like 6 to 12 months. And one thing that I've kind of learned about sort of the scientific method is like, you need to be able to take a variable, isolate a variable, and you need to be able to work with that variable, right? Like you have to be able to know, like, what am I doing? The concern I have with something that like takes that long to have an effect on your body is it's hard to tell what's working and what's not. And also, if you have a negative effect with it, then it's not like you can just like get it out of your system. I don't think people are going to have like this crazy negative effect immediately, but I have concerns with gene therapy. I certainly do. And it's one of the reasons like I've had multiple opportunities to get it done for free, and just, it's the one that I've said like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. This is where I then sit back and wait and see if I'm a fast follower in this space. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's see what happens to Brian Johnson and these other people that are doing it. And if it works, great. Like I can spare 5 years and see how it goes. But it's fascinating what we're screwing around with. Like I saw an article the other day, and I can't remember, some journal or something, about how a doctor is going to give women back their 25-year-old ovaries and they'll never go through menopause. What? Is that really what my kid's going to experience? If we don't destroy the planet before then, could there be a human alive today that will live to 200 with stuff like that?
Do you really want to live to be 200?
If you have good quality of life, maybe.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. When I look at like, I mean, I think that the more that we just try to F with things, like the more that I think stuff is just going to kind of go wrong. I mean,
Fair.
I feel like
a Frankenstein situation. I get it.
I mean, but I also acknowledge the fact that like responsibly, like it's a delicate dance of like, how much are we with it? But also like, where is it okay to have a crutch?
Yep.
And
Good.
society has either like one or the other. They either like are hard-nosed against a crutch where they're just like, well, no, I'm going to do everything that I can to not ever touch a pharmaceutical or a peptide or this or that. I'm going to just be this direction. Then you have people that are like, okay, like I'm willing to experiment and kind of have this approach. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that all of these peptides, all of these little things that we're trying to do and little levers that we're trying to pull, kind of trying to play God in a way, and it feels a little screwed up. But I think if you go with it with the right frame of mind, where like, okay, this is performance minded, like I'm trying to achieve some more performance here, or I'm trying to get a better quality of life here, I think it's a little bit safer. But when you're trying to like actually with your age, it just feels like it feels weird. It feels weird to me. Like I want to live to be 200. It just seems like there's a biological clock that's set for a reason.
You're defying God, and there's going to be a price to pay.
And do we really want people like? Can the planet sustain people living longer? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a rate limiting system, a self-regulating system that's in place. And at the risk of sounding like woo-woo-y and almost like spiritual with it, but when you get to that, it's like, I think these things are kind of here for a reason.
So
and like
Sebastian Junger said, not about this in particular, but about the fact that like the greatest gift he could give his family was actually dying one day.
Yes. And Ram Dass talks about these kinds of things. And if you go down like any spiritual rabbit hole, like whether you want to talk quantum physics or you want, like, it doesn't matter. Like you can still call this like being okay. This is going to sound bad, but being okay with the fact that you're going to die someday and actually submitting to that allows you to live your life the way you want to live your life. And it allows you to enjoy that time. And when I see people trying to live to 200, I see this poor person trying to hold on to this and this ego that's constricted so much to a point where you're forgetting the point of life. Like contrast. If you know you're going to die someday, you enjoy your life, right? And that's not saying that I'm going to die, but the point is like something amazing happened when my son was born. And I talk about this with people in circles that are maybe outside of the health community. And I was like, this is so wild. Like the moment my son was born, I stopped having a fear of death. And people are like, well, what do you mean? And there's a lot of people that were like, really? I got more scared that I was going to die. Like I thought, like, what happened to my family? I'm like, certainly that's there. You have a logical like framework.
Yeah, you got to provide.
But like there is a sense of like, okay, I helped bring life into this earth. And I've seen like the full cycle. Like I've seen like I was born. Okay, now I've seen my son be born. And I saw the beauty of like life and death. And it's hard to describe, but that feeling I can't take away. Like I don't want to go die. Like, don't get me wrong. But the fact that you can be at peace with the fact that someday is going to happen, it allows me to live my days to the fullest. I want to be there. So it could happen tomorrow, you know? So imagine going through every hoop
but you're
and
not pushing the river. You've accepted that you're part of this sort of divine process.
Yes. But like imagine like stressing out so much because you want to hold on and live to be 200 and then get hit by a bus on your way to the stem cell clinic.
Oh my God. And that's what always happens.
Right. So it's just
like,
and I know, like,
true. That would absolutely be the thing that happens.
Right. It's just like,
and you've injected yourself with horse needles every day and you've like,
and it may have been
with your genes. And
so if it's
drink the raw milk.
Totally. I think if you notice that it actually improves your quality of life in this moment, then it is worth it. But when you start once again, borrowing from tomorrow for today.
Yes, I see the thing.
Come to full circle back to like my crazy nauseous spiel earlier when I probably don't even remember what I was saying. I was so sick feeling. I hung in there and I feel much better.
Right now, the headlines are chock full of data breaches and regulatory rollbacks, making us all vulnerable. But you can do something about it. Delete Me is here to make it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online. Delete Me knows your privacy is worth protecting. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you do not want on the internet. For me, I feel so much more secure knowing that my personal info has been wiped from the web, simply because I don't get all the robocalls. I worry far less about identity theft and so much more. So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now, at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting Jillian to 64000. The only way to get 20% off is to text Jillian to 64,000. That's Jillian to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. Active Skin Repair utilizes a molecule called hypochlorous acid. Now, when you apply it to the skin, the molecule works by mimicking the natural immune response to cleanse, soothe irritation, reduce inflammation, and support healing. Active Skin Repair can be used to treat a wide range of skin issues, including cuts, scrapes, burns, sunburns, diaper rashes, and other types of skin damage. And it's also safe and non-toxic, making it suitable for use on all skin types, all parts of the body, and you can even use it on rosacea, eczema, and acne-prone skin. With over 500,000 happy customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and ingredients so safe and clean they can be used by the youngest member of the family to the oldest, you now have one simple solution for all of your family's skin health needs. So visit ActiveSkinRepair.com to learn more about Active Skin Repair and to get 20% off your order. Use the code Jillian. Again, that's ActiveSkinRepair.com and the code is Jillian. You know, this does bring up a couple of things for me that we touched upon and promised to circle back to, which is the guys that run the 100 miles, the Goggins, the Cam Hanes. What are they?
Yeah, Cam Hanes like Rogan was talking about, he just ran 250 miles across Arizona with a broken foot. And I love Cam. He's awesome. But
what are you running from is my question.
Yes. So, okay. So
I know I have respect, of course.
Totally.
But what are we really talking about? Because this is not fitness, obviously.
What are we, like, I see someone that is seeking something, not necessarily, maybe not running from something, but like seeking something or seeking a, this isn't even to knock on, I'm just going to talk as a runner. Okay. Let me just say this. Okay. As someone that I ran my first marathon when I was 11 years old.
Oh my God.
Okay. And I'm not going to try to make this about me, but there's a story here. Okay. So I ran my first.
It is about you though. You're the guest. just like, it's okay.
But yeah.
It's okay. But it is about you.
Ran my first marathon when I was 11 years old. And I did a lot of running events, and I've run ultra marathons, and I've recently had to have like a little bit of a weird breakup with long distance running, because I'm realizing that the long distance running is
too much stress.
It's a pacifier for me. It's a way that it's how I got validation as a kid. And it's how I felt love from my mom, right? Like I felt love from my mom when I would run and because that's what she did. And then I realized that there's deep-seated stuff that we cannot even begin to understand. Like we could try to logical our way through it as much as we want, but it's deep-seated stuff where like when I run, I feel a little bit of that, like I am part of something, I belong, right?
Primal connection to your mom.
Primal connection to my mom. And then you get to these points where you're like, I'm breaking down my body for this connection. So what am I looking for? So when I see people that are like going through these like crazy endurance events, which again, I have participated in, and I would like to say in a certain degree, I'm on the other side of it, because I see this as something I've never done 100 milers, but I mean, I've done a number of ultras over 40, 50 miles. And I just know what it brings me in terms of mental satisfaction at the time. But I also know like I pay a price for it, not necessarily biomechanically, I do, but I pay a price for it mentally later, because then I've just reinforced this with myself. And now I have social accolades. Now I have other people validating it. And it's so difficult to really get inside the head of like any athlete. But when you look at endurance athletes, there's almost always some pain there.
Yeah.
And like, are you running to something? Are you running from something? For me, it was seeking behavior, right? So I realized running was a way I would go seeking. And it's almost like beautifully like metaphorical. I'd be running because I'm seeking for something, because I have I'm essentially estranged from my mom. So it's like, maybe I'm seeking that, right? And when you start looking at how the brain works and how you cope, some people it's food, some people it's running. The question that I have is, does it become problematic if we glorify it too much? Does it?
When it starts to become destructive, it's the quote that which nourishes me also destroys me. Like the food connected me to my dad until I was like 175 pounds at 12. Wasn't running, but it was food, same game, and we're estranged.
Yeah. And I have immense respect, for Cam, and I have immense respect for David Goggins. And but I would love to have the conversation being like, what do you feel? Like, what do you really feel when you're going for this run? Like, but more importantly, like, what do you feel when you come back? Because when I come back from a run, no doubt I'm high. Like I feel high.
Yeah.
You feel, but I used to think it was endorphins. I used to think it was all these things. And I'm like, no, I felt like a primal connection at a certain level to like what I felt as a kid. And all these moments of like gratitude and fulfillment that I would have as a kid, like achievements with running, I would relive those. And it was happening like at a systemic level that I wasn't even aware of. So when I became like really in tune with that, it became so glaringly obvious. Like, okay, I can wake up in a given morning and be like, feel my body and be like, should I run today? Yeah, my body feels good. It's a good day to run, rather than letting my mind drive this and override a body that shouldn't be running that day.
Yeah.
So
what do you think it is though that made you aware of that? Because a lot of times people are unconscious about it.
Yeah.
And it's providing them with something that they don't understand. So it's like the obesity conversation again, because that's the lens I see it through. But how do you awaken someone? And this is where shifting gears on you, this is where I have very high hopes for psychedelic therapy. But that's another one. Yeah. That's a friggin' another one that it's like an FDA nightmare.
No, I will right out and say the biggest game changer for me in my like emotional, spiritual, and metabolic health was investing in that and doing, I can at least safely say here, like ketamine assisted therapy and going that route. And it was a game changer for me to have a certain level of ego dissolvement that allowed me to truly see like, what is this avatar that's like trying to be 5% body fat all the time and and then what is like actually my true dying pull? Like what's pulling me in this, life, right? To help people and to, connect. And I think the important thing that made me realize, and what I realized that I was seeking with running so much, was connection. So if you come back to mom, it was connection.
Of course.
Because when running stopped, then I would say, I need to travel. I always need to travel. I need to move my feet. Driving my family insane because I couldn't sit still in one place. To the point where I had a really, very, very close friend that was just like, what are you seeking? Like you stopped running and now you just feel like you can't have your feet in one place. You get itchy feet. And that is a trait. Like, sure, you like to explore, you like to adventure. But what I realized, and I still love to adventure, and I definitely travel a lot. But what it really was it was connection. Like I'm seeking connection. And when I actually just like rooted in and like focused on my friends and connection and all that, a lot of that improved. And I wouldn't have seen that if it wasn't for having some level of like, assisted therapy in that, because it was like,
was it curiosity that made you do it? Or was it like everyone's talking about it? Oh, ketamine, ayahuasca, ibogaine now. Or was it like, I'm in pain?
Like, and I've never said this publicly on a podcast, is that like, there was a sexual trauma that happened to me when I was younger. And it was coming to grips with that and realizing that if I didn't face this, then I would never be able to truly help people. And it really was that. It was from like a focus, and it can get emotional talking about this, but like it was really being able to see that for what it is. And that was the catalyst for me to actually go and say, okay, like I'm going to advance this therapy beyond 15 years of talk therapy that was getting me this far.
I know.
Right. And being able to take that step and say, you know what, something that's like, in this case, like ketamine, you can go to it's legal. Like you can go and have someone do ketamine
is the one therapy. That's legal.
And having that level of like ego dissolvement to see like, this is not actually my true nature and not who I am. This is just a bunch of different like shells that I've put on to try to protect from traumas and things that I've done. But it made me better at what I've done. And what's crazy, Jillian, is like, this was back in like August of last year. There are so many people in the comment section of my YouTube channel that have said, something's different about you.
Wow.
Like good, positive thing. Like something is different about you, and how you explain things seems to come from the heart more. And when I realized like so much of my entire career was built upon like this same thing that we talk about, the Goggins, like how do we push through it? And imagine taking that entire idea, but putting it into diet. And I like had this realization that like, I'm like, that's constricting for people. Like people can't like, and that's forcing them to feel a certain way about diet. So when I actually truly, for the lack of a better term, like came from my heart with it, with the ego removed, my business improved, month over month, I mean, revenue's been better. It's like everything has been better because I'm leading with my heart and not with this like ego shell. So when I look at some of this, like how much it could help people, and like it really is a powerful thing. And we live in a world where we just put, I don't know, layer after layer after layer on.
I think this gets back to what you said initially, though, about calories. It's like, okay, we could talk about energy expenditure and what have you, but it's so much more complex than that. What drives behavior as well? Because I can even tell you, hey, don't have 2 cheeseburgers, maybe like
Exactly.
8 cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
But what is driving you
What
to the
is
2
driving it?
cheeseburgers? And I can then say, oh, they manipulate the cheeseburger, and this is why you're driven to have 2. It's like it's with your appetites, but it's so much more than that.
We're trying so hard to rationalize something that cannot be rationalized with a logical brain. And it is the very core and the essence of everything that you and I talk about. Like, okay, we talk about whole food. We talk about eating real food. What about like these other elements of life that we like throw to the wayside because like it's not tangible? Like we can't measure this with a mechanism, and we can't look at it with this study, so it must not exist.
Yeah.
What about like the simple things that like, hey, like how you were raised and like the environment you grew up in and the traumas and micro traumas you've dealt, those are like during your formative years forming these patterns and these habits that are such a wide, diverse amount of input that we could never triangulate to say it's one thing. Because your experiences, even if you and I were raised in the exact same household with the exact same parents, your perspective and what happened to you is going to be different than what happened to me, and it's going to send us on a completely different path of how we view food, how we view exercise. So yes, there's ways to gamify it, but I think even calories in, calories out is just a gamification. It's just a broad scale gamification. And then you could get down into these subcategories of gamification where you're, okay, keto, more gamification.
Yeah.
Vegan, more gamification.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Supplements, more gamification. Peptides, more gamification.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Until we distill it down to like, but we're actually going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I had better results with my body composition. I had better results with my performance. Literally, my lifts increased. Literally, my performance improved when I was running because I wasn't running from something or to something anymore. Heaven forbid. You know what I saw when I was, one of the things that was like really impactful for me when I was actually in actual assisted ketamine therapy at that point is I saw myself almost like a drone footage of myself going into the gym and beating myself up with dumbbells. How freaking crazy is that? So I was banging myself with, and I saw this and it became so clear, like, I'm not lifting myself up, I'm destroying myself. And then after that, it was like my workouts became more about, I want to feel good. I want to empower myself. I want to lift to get stronger. I want to run to get faster.
You work out because you love your body, not because you hate it. But it's one thing to like know it, and it's another thing to know it.
And I think like we're just so blind to that because really to no fault of our own. It's just like we're forced to adapt in a, in a culture that's requires you to force to adapt. But then we get down to this, like, I don't even know how to describe it. The world that we're in today, where it's like you feel like you need to micromanage every single teeny aspect of your life down to the second. Like, how can you ever listen to that internal voice? That's already hard to listen to.
Oh my God. It's so hard to get quiet enough to listen to it, let alone with all of the conflicting voices that come into your head all the time. And I think that people are just feeling so off center. So you're right. We end up looking for a tribe. We end up looking for a guru to tell us what to do.
I love that we're going this direction because this is the stuff that I
Well,
want
I have
to
a
talk
question for you about the current tribe.
Sure. Sugar diet?
I'm starting to, no, not the sugar diet. I'm starting to I had really high hopes for Maha. And it's not that I don't still.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things and dogmas and infighting and politicization that are starting to make me wonder if anything good's going to get done there.
Or just if anything at all is going to get done, good, bad, or ugly. Like, I don't know, are we just going to end up in a deadlock situation regardless? I would be lying if I didn't say that, like, or I would be lying by omission if I didn't say that I have some concerns. Like, I have some concerns.
Tell me what those are.
I have some concerns that, like,
I want to hear them.
Maybe it's, well, I think a lot of it is just like, are we missing the forest for the trees? Like, and I feel like, a lot of it's like, we satisfy a certain, a loud minority of people that like have a big reach. We satisfy certain things by talking about these individual things.
Yep.
But we're still not actually getting to the core of educating. Like we're still not actually like moving, like, okay, why do these things need to be changed? Like, let's actually teach people so you don't need a PhD to go to the grocery store and eat healthy. Like, and it's so.
Well, here's my answer. Here's where they need to be changed. And then correct me if I'm wrong. So let me do my best, Casey means. Infertility is on the rise 1% every single year. Early onset cancer diagnoses are up 79% in people 18 to 49 over the past 2 decades. There's an autism epidemic, and it was like 1 in thousands 20 years ago, and now it's 1 in 31 kids, and 2 years ago it was 1 in 36 kids. That you've seen the cacophony, this echo chamber of statistics, and they're real, and we are in the middle of this extinction level event. Is it and that's where I'm like, we need Thomas DeLauer to tell us how to take agency personally, but we also should try to remove the poison from the water. When you order fish and you're trying to be good and it's got 50 chemicals in it, it's like, how do people function that way? Like, you want them to have the ketamine therapy and the ibogaine and the friggin', you want insurance to cover these things, let alone have them be legal. And if it isn't Maha, what is it? What is it going to be?
For the first time, like there's some at least eyeballs on this stuff. That's the thing and that's where, again, like I don't even want to make it political for me. It's just like, okay, it's exciting that now there's eyeballs on it. Okay. But I also feel like now it's go time to like handle this with the right kind of gloves, right?
Yes.
And that's where it's just like, because it could also just drop it where the American people would just be like, we gave this an opportunity and it didn't work. So I just encourage my words to the Maha community within that is to just handle this with like delicate gloves. Like you're dealing with like people that like you have the ability to construct something that's going to actually truly help people, right? Like teach them to eat right, get the transparency that we want. And I feel like if I could like really focus on things, I would just say like transparency. People just need to know where their food comes from. Mm-hmm. And if they start learning that these things matter, they will educate themselves on it if they care about their health. We can't force people to care about their health. And that's just the thing. And you know this from fitness, right?
Yep.
You can't force someone to change. If they're ready to change and they're ready to get in shape, that's a mindset that you maybe had some input in, but they made that decision. So we're certainly not going to force people that have no desire to be healthy.
No, you're right. And then it backfires, just like you said. Yeah. You're trying to force them to do something and they're like, oh yeah, I'll have 10 Big Macs. So screw you. You make such a good point there. This is something that I want to ask you about also. It's like last on my list, but arguably the most important. Is this the most ridiculous? Like, look at these are all the freaking things. You're leaving California. Why?
Well,
I mean, it's like the state's just losing everybody good.
I mean, it's not like I'm leaving tomorrow. It's like we've had our place in Nevada, in Tahoe, right? And as we've spent more time there, we've just realized that it just feels more free. Like it's just like it more aligns with us, right? Like there's a lot of little reasons, but I think at the end of the day, like I would rather be in the mountains and I'd rather be in a state where I don't feel like all I want is like some freedom. When people leave California, sometimes they have such a immense, like they're so fed up that they leave and it's nothing but anger. And I encourage people, like California was once a beautiful place and California forever will hold like a special place in my heart for the beaches, the mountains. Like and I can truthfully say this, like, have they irritated me and really pissed me off? Yes, there's a part of me that just loves California so much, which is like, I just wish that it could go back to the way that it used to be,
too.
Right? And it's why I still find myself here, even though like everyone, like logical explanation would be like, Thomas, like, well, why are you here from a tax perspective? From this, like, why are you here?
Yep.
And I'm just like, well, the best way I can put it, Jillian, is like, my work's not done here. Like that's the way that I put it. You know, it's like my work's.
I actually love that though.
I feel like my work's not done here, and I feel like there might be a time when it comes for me to leave, and there definitely will be. But it's just my work's not entirely done here. And maybe there's, who knows? But it's just, there's a pull there that I can't say.
I love that because you're the only one that isn't running from it.
And I don't want to run. That's the thing. I think you nailed it right there.
I run from it.
I don't want to
Everyone's running from it.
Something. I feel, but I know that, and I was talking with my good friend about this, we feel similar ways. It's like, we know that this isn't where we're going to be.
Yep.
This isn't where we're going to be.
I get it.
But there's too many things that are just not going the way that we would want it to go. But I don't feel like my work's entirely done here. And I don't want to be the person that is forced out. I will leave when it's my time to leave. And that means for a little while, I pay more taxes and I deal with some crap. But I know that I'm strong and can kind of push through this and move when it's time to move. There's just something that I can't really describe as saying, it's like, don't leave just yet. Right.
I love that. I hope.
But I mean, quite frankly, I don't know if I even want to stay in the US.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Like, I mean, so it's just like, I just don't know anymore. Like, it's just, but then
if it was in the US, where would you go?
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like you start looking at these things. It's like,
I'm like, I don't know. You're friggin'
like,
all kinds
talk
of crazy.
about running from something. Right? So it's
all
just,
the Europeans I speak to are like, oh, please, you don't know pain.
And that's the thing is, okay, so that's a great thing there, right? Because then you say like, I don't want to leave California because I don't want to run from something, but it's like, because you're jumping out of the pot and into the kettle, really. But at the end of the day, if you leave the United States, then you're really running from something because then you're like willing to like abandon your citizenship. Now that's a whole different discussion. So then like, it must be something that's potently driving that. But then it's also this shiny object syndrome that I think is a big problem, right? So whether it's leaving California, whether it's leaving the US, whether it's any other thing, like we have shiny object syndrome too. Like, so like we look at how the EU does things with food and and we can romanticize that. But
politically, you can't freaking say something on Facebook without having the cops show up at your door.
Yeah, and like, well, I've
it's like, okay, that's scary as hell.
I love like Switzerland, for example. Switzerland's amazing. The food is so good, and I love Switzerland's a little bit of a different story because they're like kind of operate a little bit autonomously. But like if you look even like France, whatever, the food's amazing, like the good quality of food. It's easy to romanticize a relationship with these things and fixate on mechanisms and ingredients. And then when you actually think about like, well, what would it actually be like? There's great things about being an American. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's so hard to put into words, but like there's the American spirit is freedom and transparency and you know what I mean? It's like, so I don't want to, and I'm not ready to give up on that. Like I could leave and I could abandon it for something that seems better on the surface by romanticizing ingredients, and things like that. But the reality is like, I think that like my work's not done here. This is the best way to put it.
I love that. And you know what else? It sounds to me, as you talk about like going elsewhere, maybe, or chasing shiny objects, the whole world is kind of, now that, let's just say globalists are in charge of everything, whatever this is everywhere. It really is everywhere. And certain places are less impacted than others. But at some point, the question does become, where do you take a stand?
Yeah.
Where do you stop and plant your feet and say, I'm going to fight this one into the ground? But you got to be ready to pay the price for it. And it's a big freaking price. We've seen it. And, it just...
No, you're so right on that.
Politics in particular is a perfect example. Just the best people that you wish would go into politics are like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
It's a filthy game.
Of course.
There'll be some deep fake of me having sex with a lobster. You know what I mean? Just like, that they'll send to my children. And, it's just like, okay, I get it. Who wants to fall on that sword? But at some point, you do have to fight for what you believe in and what you love. Otherwise, what else?
Yeah, but if this was like a true like raw battlefield where you could stand on a hill and say, I'm willing to die for this, Sid, now, what the hell? And that's just like where I think about
it all over. It's
each other.
Death to America.
We all shit on each other.
On each other.
That's the thing. And
infighting.
So when people ask me like that's the American spirit, like that's where it's like, I'm actually willing to die for freedom and what I feel. But we don't live in like, it's a phony world we live in, because like you can die for something, you know what I mean, on social media, but you're not actually, that sounds bad to even say, but I'm not saying, but you're not willing to actually give up your life like our ancestors were. They would give up their life to make sure that their family could maintain their freedom. They would give up their life, right? I don't,
for a cause.
And I only know a small handful of people now that like in working within the military, of course, like those kinds of people that will like have that mindset.
And we don't take care of them, which is
that's the thing. It's like don't take care of
them
that's the thing. That's the sword that I will
prioritize everything else but them now. I don't think they've been treated properly since World War II.
Hell no.
I saw a whole thing about that, how Korea and Vietnam completely disenfranchised people. There were such different conflicts, and we started to see through the military-industrial complex with those wars, and nobody was fighting for a cause, and we shit all over the veterans, and we stopped taking care of them, and it's just like.
I'm definitely with you.
If you had to give people advice on what to fight for and how to begin fighting for it. I know, I got it. I know. Sorry.
No, you're good. Are we okay? We're good.
If you had to give people advice on what to fight for and how to begin fighting for it, because really, I think that's the biggest part of our conversation.
Okay. I feel like you need to really reach deep inside and feel what you are truly passionate about, not what's going to get you clicks and likes and views, right? What are you truly passionate about? And speak from the heart on that, because people will pick up on that. And that is how you lead a charge and lead a change. And somewhere along the lines, that's just gotten disrupted, where it's all for optics. Everything is for optics. So if you want to like lead a charge and make a change, I'm not saying that I've done an amazing job at doing this, but I can use myself as an example for at least building a platform that is.
I think you have.
Because
you've done a great job.
I feel like I don't want to humble brag. I'm like careful not to do that. But the point is,
I'll do it for you. You've done a great job of doing.
Continue to talk about what I'm passionate about, and that's the best way that am I going to change the mind of everybody in the world? No. But I am at least living my truth. So it's so woo-woo-y to say, because like people that are removed from it, you have to speak your truth. You have to speak from passion. You have to be real. It's what I have respected about you from day one, even on the Biggest Loser stuff, when you caught so much shit. Okay. One thing that I knew about you is like, I could watch you and I'd be like, no, this is real. People may not like it, but at least she's real. Right. And like, she's coming from like a place of, and I think, and just like keeping it real, right? Just like, it's just, so I don't have an answer. I don't have
but that is actually a beautiful answer. It reminds me back when I would have the ability to work with people hands-on, and it's like, don't live for the shoulds. Do the things that you want, that you care about, because then you become the best version of yourself, and that's what you owe the world. And that's really what you're saying.
And then the Avengers will form from that, right?
Yep.
So it's like, because I'm not going to be the president of the universe. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. But I will continue to lead a charge in what I feel, and by leading by example, and by always taking the high road. Always taking the high road. And the other people that always take the high road, they will converge, and eventually. It may not happen. Who knows? Maybe it might not even happen in our lifetime. But it's just like, I think the cream will always rise to the top. And
I hope so. It certainly has with you. And this is such a ridiculous.
Maybe I'm just overly optimistic.
No, I don't think you are. I think you're living proof that it can be done. And you share your personal journey of evolution with us, whether you're taking oxytocin as you're doing in your nose, or
I don't feel quite so nauseous now. I'm much better now.
This is all. See, look, you just had to talk it out and pay that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is such a ridiculous question, but I have these guests that are like monsters. They're juggernauts with millions of followers, but you're like, where do you get more? So, for anybody, for the random person who caught this that doesn't know who you are, where do we get more from you?
Just more like, where can you hide from me, unfortunately? No, it's just Thomas DeLauer across all platforms. Pretty straightforward, and thomasdelauer.com for.
One more question.
Sure.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Where can you hide from me? The AI issue. Please tell me real quick. This is crazy.
Dude,
this is insane. I've seen fake yous all over the place selling like fake crap.
Yeah. Did you know? Yeah. Apparently, I am a big fan of miracle hair growth.
Oh my God. So there's deep fake yous.
And we can't do anything about it. And it's
why can't you take it down? It's all over
a lot of times
Google.
What happens is they're like click farms, right? That'll get paid. And it's like called CPA. So they'll get paid on a click, right? So,
yes, cost per acquisition.
So like they just basically, so they basically are just getting as through the affiliate network, they can, any way that they can get a click, they're getting paid, whether it converts to a sale for them or not. So they will do anything they can to get a click. The CPA networks are brutal. It's something like,
but they're using your
they can
likeness.
use my name, image, likeness, my trademark name. They can do whatever because they won't get found.
Oh, because they're in Turkey.
Yeah. So they're and it's like, trust me,
China
like,
somewhere.
Otherwise,
but
like,
then
there's
can you not go to Google and say, take this down? This is not me.
So I don't know why it's not working, but like you report these things and they just get kind of overturned. Like, it's just like, so there's got to be something happening there. Like, the only thing I can think of, and this is pure speculation, so I cannot say take this to the bank, but I'm almost wondering if, because
this is the future,
if it's an AI version of me, it's not actually me. So can they actually stop? Right. So it's like, you can't trademark the way like someone's exact facial feature. I don't know. I'm just like thinking, because like, how is this okay? How is it okay to use my name, image,
You're
likeness?
not the only one I've seen talking about this. And I sent it to my business partner and I was like, buckle up.
Yeah.
This is coming.
Yeah. And it hurts my brand in very interesting ways, because, then it's like people think that I'm willing to like sell like penis enlargement pills and this and that. And it's like, they're going to do whatever, because unfortunately, and fortunately, I've built a brand based on trust. And like, people will be like, well, I trust what Thomas says. And sometimes they don't vet it. Like, they'll just trust what I say, which is an amazing power to have, but also like it can be ripped out from underneath me very easily too.
The only thing I can hope is that the more this happens, the more it gets out there that this is happening. And then people have the ability to go to your channel and do the homework and find out, okay, that's not him.
Yeah,
he
his
didn't
eyes
say
aren't
that.
that close together. Like, you had to zoom in close on that last one, right? It was like, hey, he's kind of a handsome guy. No, he looks a little odd.
His pupils are touching now. And but it did look a lot like, I was crazy. Sure. It wasn't you, and I could tell, but if I was flicking quick on a small screen and a fast scroll, I'd be like, oh, there's Tom.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay. Well, everyone, be super sharp about your favorite health expert or your favorite expert in any category, because these deep fakes are out there and there's a lot of Thomas. But you can go to Thomas DeLauer on every platform to get the truth from him at any point. Thank you. This was so special.
This was awesome. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I'm so glad you feel better. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.